Everybody wants to live in downtown Manhattan. I hear it time and time again as a real estate agent. Now, because of this, downtown is very, very, very expensive. But I do have to say, there are ways to find cheaper apartments in downtown Manhattan. You just have to really, really look for a deal. Now, how do you find these type of deals downtown? Most people are going to be looking at sites like StreetEasy to find their next rental. But here's the problem with that. You're paying full market rate when you do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're probably not going to find a deal on a site like StreetEasy. And if you do come across one, everyone else is seeing that deal as well. So it's going to be very, very competitive. The best way to do this, there's going to be two different ways that you can potentially find a deal. The best way is going to be find a sublet. That's when you're most likely going to get a deal because somebody is probably going to be in a bind and they need to get out of their lease. You may have heard of a site called Lease Break. There's a couple other ones as well, but Lease Break is probably the best one and the one that I have the most experience with. That is going to be a great site where you can definitely find places downtown where people are in a bind and looking to get out of their lease. And then you might be able to stumble upon a really good deal. Now, because of that, depending on how long their lease is, it might be a short-term lease. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind as well. But if you're okay with not making a long commitment, then it could be perfect for you. Another way to find cheaper rents down here is going to be to look on Facebook Marketplace. Surprisingly, there's going to be a lot of people either looking to fill a room, have someone take over their lease, or even just advertise an apartment in downtown Manhattan. Like I said, you can always go to sites like StreetEasy. It's just that it's going to be very hard to find an actual deal on the market like that. You're going to have to kind of look for things off market on these sites that I'm mentioning. Another thing that I want you to keep in mind when moving downtown is be open to all different neighborhoods downtown. When people want to move to downtown Manhattan, they all want to move to these trendy neighborhoods that everybody wants to live in. And I get it. They're trendy for a reason. They're great places to live, but at the same time, you can find more affordable rents in these other neighborhoods that aren't as trendy. And sometimes you could just have a better living experience. The neighborhood that everybody wants to live in sometimes isn't the right neighborhood for you. And I tell so many people that because they think that just because everybody else wants to live there, they're gonna love it. And then they find that that's not always the case. So be open-minded. Spend time in all different areas downtown and see what you like. There is nothing like spending time in a neighborhood, walking through the streets day, night, evening, all different times of the day so that you can see if it's a good fit for you. Like I said, you might find that you don't love the trendy neighborhoods at certain times of the day and you don't think it's the best fit for you. This piece of advice also goes for dining as well. So many people want to go to the hottest dining spots that everybody else is going to. And I have to admit, there's been a time in my life where that was 100% me. If I didn't think it was the hottest dining spot, I did not want to step a foot in there. And it's kind of sad because I think there's a lot of really, really great places in New York City that don't get as much press attention or media attention, yet they're unbelievable. Some of my favorite spots in New York City probably fall under that category. So I really think that you should do your own research, go on Instagram, look at Google, and try different places that you may not have heard of before because the media just might have not discovered them yet. So my next tip is going to be, don't be one of those downtown people who hate on Midtown and Uptown. Now, I've lived in downtown Manhattan for a while, and sometimes you do find yourself as a person who lives downtown making fun of Midtown or Uptown. It's just kind of something that New Yorkers who are downtown do. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with living in Midtown or Uptown. Also, there's nothing wrong with going to Midtown or Uptown. When someone invites you to something in Midtown or Uptown, you're kind of just thinking to yourself like, oh, do I really want to go up there? But it's good to get out of the downtown bubble sometimes. And I remind myself of this all the time. Also, don't be afraid to go to Lower Manhattan. Now, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, I live downtown. Wouldn't I be in Lower Manhattan? So Lower Manhattan is actually a region in New York City that consists of part of Tribeca, the financial district, Battery Park City, and the Seaport District as well. So it's literally the tip of the bottom of Manhattan. Now, you might fall under the category of living in Lower Manhattan, and I do as well. But if you don't live in Lower Manhattan and you just live downtown, don't be afraid to come all the way down to Lower Manhattan and see what this area is all about as well. Some people don't want to come all the way down here because they think it's just out of the way and they don't want to come here to dine and shop, and they'd rather stay in like central downtown Manhattan. But I do have to say, I'd recommend exploring all of downtown Manhattan, and that includes Lower Manhattan as well. So I did mention this briefly, but don't be one of those people who just judge other people for living outside of downtown, because as somebody who lives downtown, but also as somebody who hasn't lived downtown and has lived in other areas, I do think that it gets old really fast when you hear people saying that, oh, it's better to live downtown, or I bet you wish you lived downtown, or things like that, because I hear it all the time. And I do think that there are pros and cons to every area of New York City, every single area, every single borough. It's not always the right decision for everybody, and not everybody always wants to live downtown. Everyone thinks that downtown Manhattan is one of the most expensive areas of Manhattan, and they're not wrong. But at the same time, there are cheaper dining and shopping options here in downtown. You just have to look for them. Now, like I mentioned before with the fine dining, if you're going to all the fine dining spots or the trendiest spots, you're probably not going to save money. Food is going to be expensive and drinks are going to be expensive. But if you look hard enough, you can find deals here. Whether it's cheap eats, whether it's happy hours, there are deals here. You just have to look a little bit harder. But there are ways to save money in downtown. So New Yorkers love to go to trendy restaurants. Now, trendy restaurant doesn't always have to be fine dining, but it's a place that you probably see like everyone in the neighborhood going to. I have to say, there are a lot of restaurants that are considered trendy in New York City. When I go there, they kind of feel like overrated, and I'm kind of like, why does everybody in the neighborhood love this place so much? There's a lot of them actually. So don't be afraid to try a place in the neighborhood that isn't as trendy. You might not see a bunch of people flocking there from the neighborhood, because I do believe that there are a lot of hidden gems in every neighborhood, especially when it comes to food. Don't be one of those New Yorkers who don't experience the other boroughs outside of Manhattan. So I know in downtown downtown Manhattan, you have pretty much everything here. So you don't really need to go outside to other boroughs. But sometimes it's good to experience what is going on in other places in New York City. There's so much more than Manhattan, and there's so much more than downtown Manhattan. Now, being in downtown Manhattan, you're actually very close to Brooklyn. So I definitely advise you to go experience Brooklyn. There's so much to do in Brooklyn, so much dining, and it's such a beautiful place that I advise you to spend time there. It's been something that I've been doing as well over the past 2 years. It's really not that hard to get to Queens as well from downtown Manhattan. Staten Island and the Bronx are a little bit more tricky, but I do advise, if you can, spend some time outside of Manhattan. Now, to take it one step further, I also advise you to actually go to Jersey City. Now, you might be thinking, whoa, Lauren, I am not crossing state borders like Jersey. Absolutely not. I'm a little biased. I used to live in Jersey City, and I do love Jersey City. And living in downtown Manhattan, you are so close to Jersey City and Hoboken that I definitely advise you to go over there and spend some time there. There's so many great spots there, and the views of Manhattan are absolutely crazy. I have to say, some of the best. And overall, be thankful for all the amenities that you have in downtown Manhattan. Sometimes I think that people in downtown Manhattan take for granted how convenient this area of New York City is. Between the dining options, the shopping options, going out options, there's just so much in this neighborhood, and the transportation is absolutely incredible. Don't take it for granted and appreciate what you have when you live in downtown Manhattan. Now, I would love to know, are you guys diehard downtown Manhattan people, or would you live in another part of New York City or around New York City? As always, I just love hearing from you guys.